Hello and welcome to another episode of The Funny Kind with your host, Erica Gumieny. Get ready for some laughs and inspiration as Erica takes us on a journey to find the kindness and light in everyday places. And now, without further ado, here's your host, Erica Gumieny.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next episode of The Funny Kind, where I have with us today the one, the only Kate Carter from Kate Carter Coaching. You may be wondering, who is this Kate Carter? Who is she? Well, let me just tell you, we could spend 30 minutes talking about her, both in front of her face and behind her back, but I won't. I'm just going to
only as long as you say nice things behind my back.
Always. So Kate owns her own coaching company and does a lot of different things. And the thing that I love most about her is that she has this amazing combination of wisdom and humor that she folds into things so naturally that she will both make you laugh and drop knowledge on you that you're like, wait, what did you just say? So it's always an energizing time and power to be with her. So Kate is a positive intelligence coach, a certified fearless living coach, and an inspirational speaker with 30 years of experience. So she started coaching at the age of 2, which I think
that's about right.
That's impressive. So most kids were trying to climb the jungle gym, not you.
No.
You were trying to help kids learn how to potty train. You were just doing it.
I was asking thoughtful questions, very thoughtful questions, especially as the 10th of 12 children.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
That was really loved. Just stop asking questions.
Whoa. Wait, I'm not done. I have to end this part.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, go.
It's all right. So Kate empowers women to build confidence, take risks, not just take risks, but build skills to take risks, which I love, and have a resilient mindset, which I feel like those 3 things of building confidence, improving risk-taking skills, and having a resilient mindset are the 3 most important skills in life right now. So I think you are on the right track for what the world needs. So thank you for being with me today, friend, on this hot summer day.
Yes. I love the heat. I don't, for anybody who's listening. Yeah. I really don't.
She's turning on the heat. Little lover boy for you.
I'm sitting here with a fan on my face. Okay, but resilience, risk-taking, and confidence. That's massive, right? I mostly work with women and mostly 30 to 60 or older. But most of us show up somewhere around 30, 35, 40. We start to get itchy and we're like,
I thought it was just that rash I had. Come to find out it was
well, again, you were talking about paradox today. It can be both the rash and change.
And spiritual enlightenment. You can have a rash and enlightenment all at the same time.
Sometimes that's the portal. That's the portal to enlightenment through the rash. So we wake up and we're like, oh my gosh, I took on everybody else's stuff and started living, and I just can't stand living this way anymore. We wake up frustrated and cranky. And so many women that I know and that I work with, I was definitely one of them. I always say I'm getting less mature as I get older. I was so serious. I was such a rule follower. I was everything in its box. And, it's just, we create our own little prisons for ourselves and we don't really realize it. It feels like, oh no, this is good, system's working. And then we get to, I don't know, for me, it was 28, 29. I didn't have kids, so that maybe I just started questioning a little earlier. I was just like, nope, can't live this way anymore. Can't do it. It's not free enough. It's not fun enough. And I don't even know if these are my rules I picked. So I started questioning everything.
So the reason why we're calling this session the power of the paradox, at least that's what I'm thinking it's going to be called right at this moment. It might change. But, Kate and I talked about how we're both kind of these deep thinkers, deep questioners and seekers, and serious. But then we also have this very flippant, inappropriate, silly, that's what she said, kind of goofy personality like all at the same time. It's out
That's
there.
what we're bringing your listeners today. Disjointed, disconnected points and conversations.
Yeah. If you're looking for a conversation that's all over the place, gosh, are you in the right spot?
Yeah, you came to the right spot. And all my whole life, like I've been spiritual since I was tiny, right? Like I can remember just
right when you started your coaching business at the age of 2.
from the time of 2. So I just no, I would just constantly have conversations with God, or just feel like connected to everything, kind of thing, that mystical thing. And I also I just love to laugh. And the older I get and the more spiritual seeking I've done, the lighter it gets. Like, I mean, I was a religion teacher in a girls' Catholic school for 15 years, and my class was full of laughter. Because like, one, if you're not laughing in religion, we're really missing something, right? If you're talking about ultimate love and you're not laughing, something's really wrong. And 2, they were teenagers. You had to tell a joke every 3 minutes, otherwise you lost them.
There you go.
I had some pretty bad jokes in that class, which I don't think I should say on this podcast because it might color that.
Oh my gosh. The 5 people that are listening now might be sending me an email. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So Kate and I were talking about what we would talk about here, because we could talk about a million things. And I was sharing how just in the last couple of years of my life, I've been trying to figure out like who this new chapter of Erica is. We've had a lot of family stuff, a lot of real hard things that we've gone through, as so many of us have. And I feel different than I did 5 years ago. Like I'm a different person, and I don't feel that happy joy that you're talking about right now. I'm in this, I feel like I'm coming out of it, but I went through this very deep thought, not deep thought, maybe a perpetual deep thought. So anywho, so we were talking about, I kind of have this or thinking. Either I'm funny or I'm serious. Either I'm spiritual or I'm sassy. Either I'm working a corporate job or I'm doing my own thing. I have a very definitive or thinking. And you have been teaching me through our friendship about the thought of a paradox. And just for definition, a paradox is defined as a statement that is seemingly contradictory or opposed to common sense, and yet it's perhaps true.
Yeah, that's a good definition.
And a contradiction, because a contradiction then is to imply the opposite. So what do you, when I give you those, very highly sourced
Webster-like,
yeah,
Google-fied.
Google-fied. What does that mean? What does that spark for you?
Well, I think, a little theological here, but when I hear it, I hear like the human experience, right? We can experience 2 totally polar opposites, feelings and thoughts, exactly the same time. And it's sometimes at certain stages in our life, that just is really hard to do, right? When I was young, that was really hard to do. It was either I was this or that, like you're saying, right? And again, I was a good doobie, I was a rule follower, I was a really good Catholic girl, like blah, blah, blah. But you grow, you get older, you get experience, and you see what people go through. You go through your own suffering and your own really dark times, and it gets more complicated. It gets richer, but it also gets more complicated. Mm-hmm. And we can have so much going on with us at once.
Yeah.
And you can feel like, how can I have this much like inner conflict or inner distinction? But that is what it is to be human. That really is. And I think sometimes, not intending to, some of our religious or spiritual systems try to contain that rather than use it as a source of growth and evolution and seeking. You can't contain that, because to contain that is to limit the wisdom, right, and the knowledge and the learning that we get from it. But and I will say I've had my own dark spiritual times, and I think we've talked more than just this podcast. I know that shocks people, but you're definitely coming out of a dark spiritual time, mm-hmm. and that's another paradox, right? Because you feel so much absence, and yet, like, you wrote a book during that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
a beautiful book.
Yeah. And I feel like when you said that dark absence, I felt like it was a dark time, but a deep presence. which
Okay.
there's the paradox is like, how can, like, as I'm speaking to you right now, and whenever this goes live, at any time in history, one could say we're living in really dark times right now. You know, it could have been said thousands of years ago. It could be said thousands of years from now, God willing. And yet God's presence is with us, paradoxically, in this
Always.
dark time. And so I think, so I when I think about the paradox, I think of it both like how I can love myself in that paradox, how I can love others in that thinking, and then how do I show up in the world. Our pastor right now is doing a sermon series, being a light in the darkness, and I always use that in my social media post, and like, God help us be the light in the darkness, you know. And it sounds awesome, and it is awesome, but it feels really hard. So you had said a quote when we had hung out and started to kind of define what we were going to talk about today, and you said it's something like, nothing is as strong as gentleness, and nothing is as gentle as real strength. And I've really been thinking about that with all the wild stuff going on in the world right now. And I really would love to get, because I think about these 30 years of experience that you've had in this thinking of dealing with women who are on their journeys to find their path forward, their healing, their purpose, whatever it might be for them.
Their true selves, like who they are.
Yeah. And how does the paradox of, you had said the paradox of fighting against your own truth was something that you said when it comes to like the individual.
Well, so we do really, really funny things with, you know, the stories we've inherited, some we've internalized, some maybe they come in with us. I don't know. Maybe they're in our DNA, right? Who knows? But we have these systems of meanings we set up, and this sort of gives us permission to be something and not to be something else, right? And so we get locked into boxes. And I mean, I don't know if this is every experience. A lot of the women I coach, it was my experience, right? We sort of put ourselves in a box. It's like, oh, this is it. And, you know, as we start to break out of that box, one, it upsets all the systems around us. Because everyone's like, no, this is who you are. This is how you act. This is what you do. And this is what I do. Like, I'm grown up to be an excessive pleaser, right? So that's something I've really worked on pulling back in my life. And
I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I know you don't. So we have more time. I'll explain it to you. So you start to change those patterns, but you'll get pushback. Like, no, okay, you give, I take. That's how this works, right? And just learning to receive was radical for me. So because of that, we won't let ourselves be things. And when we start to crack these shells, right, it's very confusing because we've sort of solidified these rules, and then we break them. They're just puffs of air. They were like not really strings, like nothing was really holding us. We were holding ourselves there. But it's very terrifying. It's very uncomfortable. It can be very vulnerable. And so sometimes we don't want to see that because it really brings in more vulnerability than we're ready for, or we want to face, or we think we're not going to be okay, or we think people aren't going to love us anymore. And so we will fight our own truth, whether it's in a personal family dynamic, in a role we play at work, or even just something we're relating to in the world, right? And so every time we fight with it, this is Byron Katie's work. She's so amazing. Every time we fight with reality, we lose. Right? We're spending so much time fighting, trying not to be that thing, or not to allow that thing in, or not to, let that thought be true, that we're spending all of our energy on it. And that this is some of the main work I do. That comes from judgment. We make a judgment. This is okay. That's not okay. And we try to stay by it. But judgment is a form of fear. And this is something not a lot of us know. And I've only really gotten into in the last 10 years. But it is some of the most powerful work I've ever come across. And the impact it has with the women, when we work together is incredible, because we take judgment just as a necessity. But judgment is rarely, I almost want to say if ever, helpful. Because judgment is yes, no, black, white, true, false. Now there are, facts and things like that. We're not getting into a political conversation here though, but most of us are complicated in context, nuance, paradoxical, right?
Yeah.
And
As you were talking, I'm thinking about this concept of paradox, and I'm thinking about one of your tenets of the work that you do is self-love.
Yeah, huge.
And how, when you're talking about, that judgmental way that we look at ourselves, as I've been changing a lot. I've been going through I don't even know how to describe it, not a metamorphosis, because it's like, I think you said that it's like, this is what I'm talking about, like spending everything you say is quotable always. Like I feel like I have to like carry around like one of those what are those like that movies use with the little fuzzy microphone on the pole? I can't think of what it's called.
And I need to record what you just said and play it for my massive family. Because I'm like, see?
Yeah. Listen, 11 siblings. I am awesome.
Some people like to hear it.
Right. But you had said something, there's something within us, and I don't know if you said it this way, but I summarized something within us pulling, calling, longing. But it's not about finding it. It's about becoming and returning to it, because it's been in us all along. And I feel like the paradox, at least what I'm starting to notice now, is I was always such a seeker and thinking that I had to find it out there.
Yeah.
But it's really in here, and honoring my own voice. And then I thought of something the other day, because I quit drinking alcohol a year and 3 months ago or something like that, ever since my sister died. It was really hard. And it was hard because it's a big part of my socializing. It's a big part of Wisconsin living. And I didn't do it because, I hit rock bottom. It wasn't anything like that. It was just a choice that I made to make a better choice for myself and my family, and blah, blah, blah. But somebody said something the other day about, because it was the 4th of July, and it's weird to be social without drinking. It is. It's hard and awkward. It's fine, but it's awkwarder than, it's just awkward. Anyways. And I felt like it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to feel almost a grieving for something you don't want to do anymore.
Yeah.
The paradox is, I'm happy of the choices that I'm making. I'm healthier than I've ever been, or healthier than I've been in years, feeling proud and good about my choices, and yet also sad, because there's a part of that life that's free and fun and silly and all that. So I feel like that I've really been wrestling with this paradox thinking since we met, in a good way, about it's okay to sit with both of those feelings.
Yeah. Can you make room for them? Absolutely. Yeah. Like, I think our birthright is total spiritual freedom, right? I mean, the spiritual path, very wise person said this once, the spiritual path is totally free. We don't have to worry or fear anything. We can just let ourselves become who we are.
Yeah.
Right. We can just let ourselves.
If we live in a place that allows it. Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless, God willing. Yeah.
Right.
Or
and even if it doesn't allow it on the outside, we could become it on the inside.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, Nelson Mandela is such a massive example of that. Right. He was imprisoned for, was it 17 or 19 years?
Yeah.
And just developed that impossible, incredible inner peace with that. But yeah, and so
the guy, Man's Search for Meaning.
Viktor Frankl.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's so many people. Yeah. And I feel like, so the paradox, as you've been working with your clients, the paradox within is returning to your truth, feeling the discomfort of change, and loving yourself enough to feel that the opposite energy of the good and the bad as you grow
the opposite
energy
of judge. There's nothing we need to be afraid of, right? And I think it's the fear and the judgment, and mostly this is the biggest thing I work with and have worked with in myself. Like, we coach what we need, right? So all of us have some emotional fear in some way of being enough, right? And that's going to come out differently for all of us. And we've twisted ourselves into different people in order to feel like enough in one way or another. And I think so much of the journey of the women I work with is to undo that and claim who they are, and practice unconditional self-love. And some of the biggest paradox there is that the path to that is that gentleness. Most women I know beat the crap out of themselves.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, I manage myself by fear, for sure. I'm the worst boss I've ever had, for sure.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, every woman I know would never treat another human being that way, but would treat themselves that way. And you can go into lots of reasons why this started and all that. And those are important, but I think the main path of getting out of it is, one, to realize you will actually do quote unquote better, whatever it is. If it's about work, right? It's about relationships. It's just about your inner well-being. You will do eons better if you take that judgment out and replace it with love and gentleness.
Of course, just like you would do with anybody else.
Right. You would never, ever, that's what you always say to clients, right? You'd never, ever treat a child like this. Like, this is what our brain, and this is why I work a lot with the brain, because the brain has that negative bias. It magnifies the negative 3 to 5 times. You do 10 things well in a day, you screw up one thing, you go to bed, what are you thinking about? And I always ask my clients, like, okay, well, would you say to your child, listen, yeah, you did 100 well, but you got that extra credit question wrong. You need to think about that, young man, and fix. Never. But it's very, very challenging to trust gentleness. And that's why that quote is one of my favorite things, is because when we actually do, we realize how powerful it really is, which comes down to, right, love is the most powerful thing there is. We know this in our relationships because it's how we treat the people we love, and we know what love brings. We know this in a larger scale when we look at people like Martin Luther King and Gandhi and all the people who have led these amazing, and they weren't perfect people, they were flawed people. But what they were able to accomplish by leading with love was absolutely transformative.
I think of Jesus, and I think of, he could have came guns a-blazing, and he was meek and gentle. And I really appreciate that, because I've said this on almost every podcast, I think, and it's kind of the whole point of the funny kind, is finding kindness and light in everyday places. And there is a movement, because there is a lot of nonsense going on. There is, and there's a spotlight on it, but there's also a movement of so many people who are waking up to something different, and there's a shift happening. I must believe that there is something good coming, and I think a lot of that is being the paradox in a poopy world. Maybe that's the title. Being a paradox in a poopy world, sponsored by Depends. But
no, it's true. Like waking up, like no matter, we have a lot of political divide, right? Like waking up and, praying for everybody, right? Or sending love to everybody, right? Trying not to dehumanize if you're on a different side from somebody.
So how can I paradoxically show up in the world in the, as we know that the definition of contradiction is to imply the opposite. So if I'm seeing division and hatred, unity and love would be the opposite of that. So how can I bring more unity and love to the world?
Such a great question.
Yeah. And honestly, I kind of get stuck there in the thinking about it and talking about it, because I'm a lover, not a fighter, big time. I can't stand conflict. I don't like debate. It makes me really uncomfortable when people raise their voice or fight. I don't like it.
Okay, so we should do a whole second podcast on this, because I have nonviolence training. Whatever you think is most important that you want to do something for, showing up with love and not with hate, with love and not with fear. I don't think hate is the opposite of love. I think it's fear. I think fear is what really gets in the way. I think when we can have conversations with people on different sides of different issues, and we can really get down to the depth of it, what's at stake for you in this, we find a lot more common ground than we thought. It's just how we go about it that's different.
Okay, how do you show up as, to steal my pastor's sermon series title, how do you show up as light in the darkness?
Me personally, my path, and it's going to sound maybe different than other people will say, my path is to work on myself, right? To continue to clear the blocks and the hard spaces within. Like you were talking about Jesus before. And I think that was people's experience when they met him, was all the internal self-hate melted, all the internal blocks melted. It wasn't because he was probably an amazing speaker, but people weren't listening because, oh, I like these rules. They were like, oh my God, this man is love incarnate. I need to be around him, right? I don't want to leave his side because I feel so much love when I'm with him.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
So,
and gosh, don't you want to be like that? Don't you want to be love incarnate and just emit it? And I mean, if we all had a thought bubble of the nasty judgmental thoughts, and I think that's why we all hate social media so much, because people actually write down what they're thinking, but people have always thought those things. It's just now they have a place to type them, but they've been inside all along. And that is what I think is really difficult, is we are seeing the darkness within ourselves right out in front of our faces. We can't hide it anymore. We can't. It's out there.
I know. And as you know, I don't do a lot of social media. I respect it. I'm trying to do a little bit of it for my business, but I just don't feel at home there. It's not one of my favorite places to be, even though I found a lot of inspiring things on there as well. Well, I just want to get back to your question you said before about what do I do to be a light in darkness?
Yeah.
For me, I try to take care of myself as much as possible, to grow, to develop, to become most me I can, right? I don't even like saying the best version of myself, because again, I had so many ideas of what that was when I was younger that doesn't feel freeing for me. Other people, that might feel great to say, but for me, I just want to be, my whole goal is to provide really compassionate, welcoming spaces for people. I think that's what I do in my coaching, so they can truly be free to be themselves and find the answers they're looking for. But my real transformation is within. I do the work within, and I feel like that's how I can show up best and be present for other people.
You generate just a loving energy. You just do.
Aww.
It does emit from you.
Thank you.
Like, I feel like the way that you bring the light into the darkness is not only doing your own internal work, but giving people a safe place to do their internal work as well. And yes, you are setting captives free. And that, I think, is what's happening in the world right now. Is we see the darkness is us, but the light is also us. And we're reaching a point now where I think people are saying, whoa, okay, hold on a second. What's going on? Enough of that. I want to find a new way of being, and I don't want to hold myself back anymore. And I don't want to add to the preservative poopiness out there. I want to be
very scientific.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's one of the ingredients and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of smart.
It is. Mm-hmm. No, I love that. And also just to lean into trust and love and hope, right? Like, I know I've said Gandhi a lot. He's one of my absolute heroes. And he always said, and he went through some really dark times. He always said, no matter what happens, I lean on my belief that the universe is ordered for good.
Yeah.
That love is at the heart of it.
Leaning into the power, the paradox of, so if paradox is the opposite, and you're saying that fear is the opposite of love, so I feel like a lot of what's holding us back is fear. So the best way that we can overcome what's going on internally and externally is with love. That's
my bias. That's what I think.
Man.
I mean, it's what we use for the people we care about the most in this world. That's how we work, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. And it's tricky because love will get like, oh, that's too soft. It's really not.
No.
It's really not. It's that gentleness quote. It's the strongest thing there is. It's a very different way of going about it, though.
Mm. Yeah. So, Kate, I mean, we could talk for hours. So I will definitely give people the information on your different services. You have a lot of really great, like, one-day seminars that people can participate in and just get a get a piece of you, if you will. I don't know.
Yeah, or just I do, like, it's like a 6-hour thing, and you will definitely, if we focus on confidence, like 2/3 have said they come out feeling more confident. If we focus on compassion, same thing. So I choose themes, And it's all about freeing yourself. That's what I mean, what you were just saying. It really is getting free from the fear and letting yourself breathe and live fully.
Well, thank you so much for being with me. And you are a light.
Thanks for having me.
And
right back
I appreciate you, my little pookie pants. So check out Kate Carter.
She said pookie pants. Just want to clarify that.
Again, sponsored by Depends.
By Depends.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And I'll share some information on Kate. And until next time, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Funny Kind with your host, Erica Gumieny. Be sure to subscribe now so you don't miss any of the laughs or inspiration. And Erica wants to hear from you. Be sure to reach out if you know of someone Erica should connect with as she continues to take us on a journey to find kindness and light in everyday places.